Central New York, and hello, hockey fans all across the internet, and welcome to the Central New York Hockey Report podcast. We've got a great show lined up for you today. I can't wait to get this one going. Before I bring our guests in, though, as always, I'm over here with my sidekick, my partner in crime, so to speak, my cohort, my man, Mr. Dave the Save Warner. How are you?
Your hat duplicate.
I know, right?
Yeah,
we're doppelgangers.
Yeah, no, we're not.
You're right. You have more hair than I do.
This is true. Nobody can tell right now, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So now that our fun introduction's over with here, let's get right on with the show. So I got to tell you, last weekend, I was up in Oswego last Saturday night for the first ever Whiteout game I'd ever been to. And what a scene that was up there. That was so much fun to attend. The Oswego State Lakers defeated number 4 Plattsburgh in an awesome game. And with us today, we have got the assistant coach of the Oswego State Lakers men's hockey team, Mr. John Whitelaw. Coach, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Scott and Dave. Glad I could get on.
We're glad to have you. And, we'll just start right off talking about that game because, like I said, we have a mutual friend who kept saying, you got to get up here for this. You've got to see this game. I said, yeah, okay. I'll try. And then I'm like, you know what? Because I don't know if you know that we're like about an hour and a half away from Oswego. We're on the other side of Utica. So, everything just lined up perfectly. It was a great driving day. No snow or no ice, no anything in the air. I was like, yep, I'm going to this game. And I got to tell you, man, I'm so glad that I went because the deb was full. It was rocking. What a time, what a game, and what a win for the Lakers. So just general impressions of that game.
Yeah, I mean, it's special anytime, us and Plattsburgh get together. It's obviously a long-standing rivalry that I think the history is well documented out there. But, it's a game you mark on your calendars every single year. And I think it was kind of unique this year that it fell so late in the season. And so I think early in the year, obviously, we knew there was going to be a lot on the line, just given, where things might be in the standings. And as such, obviously, it was a huge game for both teams. And thankfully, we were able to come out on top. But, for you, I hope you enjoyed your first experience because it's, it's something, quite special and obviously a big part of Oswego's hockey culture and tradition, and obviously with Plattsburgh as well. So I think the fans were treated to a very good game, back and forth game, and they provided a lot of energy and excitement. And it was overall, obviously, when you're on the winning side of things, you walk away and you're quite happy. And but no, just as a general hockey fan, I think it would have been a great game to be at, and an atmosphere unlike anything else, I think, at our level. So.
Oh, absolutely. What an amazing game it was. I mean, like first 2 periods, Oswego was just flying. They were all over the ice. It was impressive the way that the pressure that you guys put on Plattsburgh. Plattsburgh kind of hung around, stayed in the game. They managed to tie the game.
Yeah.
So once they tie the game, what was going on the bench? What were you saying to the guys? Because it almost felt like, okay, we took their punches and now we got a counter punch.
Yeah, no, I gotta be honest. Like, it was tough because, like you said, I think we felt so strong about how we'd been playing in the first and the second period. Maybe thinking like, it was only a 2-1 game, and so maybe it was one of those feelings like, gosh, I feel like we should have been rewarded a little more. And then, as always with those games, Oswego Plattsburgh, it seems to always go that way. They tie it up, and I don't think there was ever any sense of doubt or anything like that, but it was just kind of, our message is stick to what you're doing, continue to do what's worked for you. And, eventually we figured we would get rewarded, and ultimately we were. But, that was a huge goal by them to tie it up that, late in the third period there, that obviously set the stage for, the dramatic finish. But no, our guys, it was all about just, continuing to stick to the process. Same thing we preach every single day to them. And, you don't always get rewarded, but thankfully we did. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I had alluded to the tremendous pressure that you guys were applying. Was that something you picked up on? And because you've already beat Plattsburgh once in the season going into that game, 5-3 on December 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually the number 1 team in the nation.
Yeah.
When you did beat them. So was that kind of like part of the plan? Was that something you felt you could do against them?
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, when we're playing our best, that's just how we play. And obviously, you can see our record this year. It's been, extreme highs and extreme lows, but I think when our team's dialed in and all on the same page with the same goal, that's the kind of brand of hockey you see us play. And that's an easy game where you can usually get their focus and attention, and they're going to bring their best. And they certainly did. And against a Plattsburgh, you got to play your A game in order to have success. And that's twice this year that we've been able to do it. And no, it's just a credit to our guys for trusting our game plan and bringing their energy onto the ice.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned it's been a season full of highs and lows. You're right. I mean, you opened up the season by beating then number 1 Hobart. And you've also got a win over Utica, who was ranked 4th when you played them. We already talked about the 2 wins against Plattsburgh. And then there were some games that, maybe Oswego should have won. But how do you manage the waters with that, with the team? Because, I mean, that's got to be such an emotional high and emotional low. But now you really do seem to have right the ship because you've won 8 of your last 9 games.
Yeah, no, we're, like any team, there's not a team in the country who hasn't gone through some adversity or anything like that. And our story is our own story, that we've had some different things happen this year. And I think it's just finding a way to stick together and trust each other and trust ourselves. And, it's been a learning experience for sure, because we've had so many of those moments where you think you finally found it, and then only to be humbled, quite quickly. But, since the January break there, with the exception of 1 game against Geneseo, I do truly think that, we're onto something here, and the guys have really gelled and come close together. And, hopefully it's at the right time of year, because usually, we always say this is the time of year you really want to be rolling and connected. And, with, like I said, with the exception of a tough outing in Geneseo, we really have had, a connected group and have been able to have a lot of success. So hopefully we can continue to drive that, big game tomorrow night with Cortland, and then obviously into the playoffs. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And Geneseo is an outstanding team. So there's, really no shame in losing to them. So let's talk about that for a second with the adversity we had just mentioned. You think that's going to help the Lakers, not only going into the conference tournament, but also potentially the NCAAs, having known you can overcome that now?
Absolutely. No, that's, like I said, any quality team or any team that goes far, I think you always experience something as a group. And usually the reason why a team wins ultimately in the end is because they can handle those moments of adversity, better than the other teams. And so, I think our guys right now, they're really close. It's a connected group. It's a large senior group. We've had a extra long year starting almost in late July with a trip over to Europe, and carrying that all the way through the season. So it's been a long year from that standpoint. But no, I truly do believe they've kind of found it here at the right time. And we'll be tested certainly tomorrow night, and whoever our first playoff game's against. So we'll see, in terms of these adversities, how we react. But given how we've shown the last month here, I do like our odds. So.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people realize just how good the SUNYAC really is as a conference.
No, it's. I mean, I always, obviously, you want to take pride and say it's the deepest, but I know, the NEHC, that's an absolute, dogfight there with how deep that is, and a lot of the, Western conferences, NCHA and the WIAC. But we're fortunate to play in the SUNYAC, where every single night you're going to be tested. It's a battle, top to bottom. It's very deep. And those rivalries too. I think that's the nice thing too, is you have these rivalries that have been around for so long. And no, it's a great conference to play in. It's deep, and I think it'll be well represented in the national tournament this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. So you're the assistant coach, one of them up there.
Yeah.
So what exactly is your role with the Lakers?
Yeah, I mean, this will be, I think, going into my 8th or 9th year. I've kind of hit it at every level, right? So I was a graduate assistant for 2 years. while Mark Digby was in the full-time position. And then from there, once I finished that, moved into a volunteer assistant position. And then ultimately when Mark moved on to the women's program, was able to move into the full-time role. And it kind of handles a bit of everything, right?
The jack of all trades.
Yeah, that's really like, I was laughing with Coach Moffat. This was a couple months ago, but at the Division III level, it's an unbelievable job to have, but you really kind of do it all. And when we were up there in Plattsburgh, I saw him walking down the hallway with a vacuum to go vacuum the locker room. And I was laughing. I go, I know, we joke about it all the time. Ed, who obviously has been doing it a very long time, he'll joke about some of the great Division I coaches and say, do you think so and so is doing this right now? Do a throw in the laundry in.
I was just gonna say,
whatever it may be. But I think that's the cool thing about our level is it's not a job. It's just a love for the game. It's a passion, and you're willing to do anything to help your team and to help the guys ultimately have a great experience. And I know that's how I look at it. I know how fortunate I was as a player to have the coaching staff that I had with Mark Digby and Ed and Dan Ford and Mike Gray and everything that they did during my time. And so I'm just kind of trying to do the exact same and make sure that our guys have a phenomenal experience and one that they'll remember. So.
That's awesome. That really is. So are you involved with the scouting or recruiting at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, we're all involved in our own way, but I guess in terms of the travel side of things, I do a majority of that, but it's definitely a group effort, team effort amongst all of us. And we all help out with that.
Yeah, because I mean, you got to be all hands on deck.
Yeah, I was talking just last week in Pittsburgh with Coach Moffat again at Plattsburgh, and we were talking about recruiting and how maybe back in the day, as you could say, you could get away with just one guy, your head coach doing it, or maybe two guys. But now there's so many good hockey players, there's so many good leagues. And in order to separate yourself from those top programs, you need a lot of help. And we're fortunate with our setup at Oswego with Ed, obviously being the head coach there for a long time and myself, but to also have a full-time graduate assistant, Connor Tierney, and Bobby Chattel as an assistant coach, and Mike Gray as another volunteer assistant coach. We're fortunate to have a lot of guys that can help us out and offer their opinions in that process.
Yeah, Coach Chattel was actually on our show about a month or two ago to talk about Salt City prospects. And What an awesome interview that was.
We're beyond fortunate to have him, helping our program, and it's been such a difference. I know it's only been a year and a half now, but phenomenal teacher of the game. Definitely when it comes to the details. He's one of the best that I've been around, and I think the personality too. Our guys absolutely love him. He's fun loving. Him and I are very close friends, and our staff dynamic is as good as it gets. And I think we say it all the time. We may not win every game, and who knows where the season will go, but I don't think there's a staff that has as much fun and as many laughs as we do. So.
That's great. That is so great. So I'll get into your playing career a little bit deeper in just a second, but you did play for Oswego from 2009 to 2013. Now you're behind the bench. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen from the time that you were playing to now being a coach?
Everything,
if there really is any.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot is similar. I do think the student athlete has changed a bit, the dynamic in terms of how I was coached versus maybe how we have to coach today is a little different. Not to say that, for instance, Ed has changed in any which way. It's just, I think in the past, there maybe wasn't as much of a need for communication from the playing standpoint. Whereas now, it's constant. I think the players definitely, they always want to be communicated with, and it's our job too to obviously also be relaying that to them. But I just knew in the past, if something wasn't going your way, it was just kind of like, all right, I message received, I'm going to work harder. Whereas now I think there's a lot more communication that goes into it, and justification for, maybe why you're in a certain position or not. But for us, in terms of our program, I don't think too much has changed. That's why I think, we've been fortunate to have such a long-standing run of success, from the entirety of the program. But just with the way in which Ed runs things and has run things, it's we're very stable in that, and not a lot's changed. He hasn't changed. Maybe he's evolved a little bit, but in terms of just the genuine care for the players, that's always been there, and it'll never change. So.
Yeah, that's true. You hear that from a lot of coaches, and especially the coaches that have been around for a long time. It used to be just, you're doing this because I told you to do it, and that's
Right.
it. But
Yeah.
now, the players want to know why. And I think that actually is much better in the regards that it creates, I don't want to say a smarter player, but a more aware player.
Well, it's absolutely. I mean, it's funny because, we say it all the time, like it forces us to be better coaches too, because
Sure.
as Ed likes to say, you have to sharpen your pencil. You can't, simply just tell a player that, hey, you're out tonight because, you may have done this or that. No, well, we have to back that up. We have to show them with video. We have to provide them with stats and analytics and all of that. So I think it forces us as coaches to, be accountable for our decisions as well, and how we approach things. So, I think in the grand scheme of things, it's better today than maybe it was in the past, because you're forced to really justify your decisions. And I think also it allows you to form better relationships with the players too, just because there's so much more communication.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And like you said, I'm sure it not only just makes you, but it forces you to evolve your coaching style and maybe really learn more about the game.
Absolutely. No, you're bang on.
Excellent. So I'd mentioned your playing career earlier, and I think it's pretty safe to say that you are Mr. Oswego State Laker. Like I said, you played there 2009 to 2013. You were in the Frozen Four all 4 seasons you played. 2 national title games. You were captain of the team in 2012, 2013. But let me ask you this. How did you end up choosing Oswego State?
It was pretty simple decision, actually. I played up in a northern town in Ontario, in Huntsville, Ontario, with one of my best friends, Jesse McConney. And obviously, like every player at our level, you have the hopes of going Division I. And, for whatever reason, sometimes it doesn't work out. And no, it was early in our season that I had met Ed and at the time, Coach Danny Ford. And I had no idea, one, about Division III. I had no idea about Oswego, New York. I had no clue, but was fortunate enough to get to know them and meet them, and took a chance to come down on a visit. And, you witnessed it on Saturday night there in the arena when that place is rocking. It was a no-brainer. And so for me, my decision was quite easy. That was really the only school I visited at the Division III level. And once I saw it and got a little more in depth in terms of the academic programs that were offered, everything just felt right, and it felt like home. And Ed is probably the most likable and easy guy to get to know. And so in terms of just the recruiting process, it just felt like, I knew I was going to someone that would genuinely care about me and my development. And no, the rest is history. I'm still here. So
that's awesome. That is. So you get done with your playing career at Oswego and you go over to Europe. Now, I'm probably going to hammer this name, so certainly correct me when I'm wrong here. But for 2013-14, you went over to France to play for Morzine Evarez, the Penguins.
Pretty
If
good. That's pretty good. You know what? I don't even think I'm going to correct you because that's very,
well,
very
You
I
were
good. I
just
don't know.
you were
Maybe,
just
I
slurring a bunch of words together.
Well,
He
no,
didn't know
listen.
what you were
well,
saying.
Full disclosure here. Actually, some of my ancestors actually came from Quebec.
okay. I
So
was going to say, yeah.
I'm not sure if they were
Hey,
thrown out or if they came over here willingly, but at some point
They were thrown out.
yeah.
probably.
I can tell you.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, very well done. Very well.
So tell us about that experience over there.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it was always a dream of mine to go play over in Europe after finishing up at Oswego, and kind of a strange route to get there. I had actually signed in Utah in the East Coast League with at the time my line mate Paul Rodriguez, and that's an eye opener to professional hockey quite quick. And when you say the term cup of coffee, that's what I felt like I legitimately had out in Utah, being out there for, I think it was like a week and a half. And, you know, obviously, and unfortunately it didn't work out, but I think fortunately, the world works in weird ways. And one of my other teammates, Andrew Hare, was out in Morzine, and they had, I think, a player go down, and we're scrambling to find somebody, you know, because they start a little early. So I would say mid-season over there, and you know, just good timing. I was able to go over and join the team, and just an incredible experience living in the French Alps, traveling all over Europe. I think, and then also it just opened my eyes to how many good hockey players there are in this world, because that league was full of a lot of players from all over that had their own unique stories. And I think it opened my eyes to, you know, a different side of the game, and different ways to approach it. And no, just an unbelievable life experience. It's honestly, the hockey was quite secondary. It was just the life, you know, learning so much about other peoples and cultures.
Was there a language barrier?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was quite funny. I mean, I do have a minor French background just in terms of growing up in Canada. So I could kind of understand a lot of it, but when it came to speaking, that was a little challenging. But we had 8 imports on our team, and we were kind of like the United Nations. We had a couple Canadians, a Finn, a Slovak, Latvia. You know, so the imports, it's funny because those guys all could speak English. We kind of stuck together, and our French teammates, you had some that could speak English, and they'd hang out with both of us. And then you had the other ones who could barely speak any. So that was a unique situation. I'd never, you know, dealt with that, obviously, on any teams I had grown up, but you know, you have a common denominator, and that's hockey. And you know, I was able to build a lot of relationships that I still have today with a lot of those guys that I played with. So
Oh yeah, and absolutely. And the way the game has grown, especially with the top leagues in Europe now, all
yeah.
over Europe, it's really a testament to how much the game has grown.
Oh.
So after you were done in France, you came back stateside to coach. You started off with, well, an Oswego rival, Cortland. So how did that
Yeah.
come about?
No, it was, I mean, I went to school for teaching, but ultimately I think the goal was always to get into coaching. And so although the teaching degree I got at Oswego was amazing, and brought me some good experiences in the classroom, my favorite subject to teach is hockey. And so I really wanted to get into coaching right away. And you know, obviously at the time there wasn't any opportunities at Oswego. And it just so happened that Cortland had an open position. And so given my wife, she at the time was my girlfriend, lived in Syracuse, it seemed like something that could work. And I was able to go down and work with Coach Cardarelli, who also kind of had some Oswego ties from his past. And you know, it was a real fun year, a real learning experience for me, and great to kind of see how another school, you know, what the experience is like at another school, and also obviously another quality coach, and Joe, and how he does things, and how he runs things. And you know, for me as a first year coach to be able to be under Joe, and how detailed he was, he, I think, set the bar for how hard you have to work in order to have success in this, career. And so it was fun for me to work under Joe, and obviously you can see the success that he's gone on to have with that program. So that was the first year to dive into coaching down here.
Yeah, it's so incredible just how big the hockey world is, but just how small it is
Right.
at the same time.
Yeah, no, you run into that, especially in recruiting. It's like whatever you want to call it, that's 6 degrees of separation. There's somehow, when we're talking to a recruit, there's always some connection that we can find, whether it's a former coach that's coached them, player that's played with them, friend, cousin, whatever it might be. That's you're bang on there.
And then the following year, you got to return home. So how did that come about?
Yeah, again, just kind of timing. At the time, Oswego had just started a graduate assistant position, and Kyle Laughlin was the first recipient of that. And he had just finished his 2 years with Oswego, and the position was open. And it was at that time, obviously, I still very close ties with Ed and Coach Digby, and I don't know if it was that they didn't like seeing me in red in Cortland or what, but it only made sense. I wanted to get my master's, especially with a focus in teaching, and so when they presented me with the opportunity to return back, it was tough to leave Cortland because I really did establish a good relationship with the players and with Joe, but it was, to the opportunity to go home and be back in Oswego and be able to get my master's in a subject that I wanted to. It was a no-brainer.
Oh, I can certainly imagine that. So you've got just about a decade of coaching experience under your belt now.
Yeah.
As a coach, what are some of the qualities that you're looking for in a player, and what advice would you offer a young hockey player trying to work their way up through?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's always about like competing every single day. And I think anytime, any of the successful teams, programs that I've been involved with, it's, a team full of competitors, guys that push each other to make each other better every day. And, we say it all the time that we want rink rats at Oswego. We want guys that, have that passion for the game, that constantly are striving to get better. And, I think we're fortunate that, with our setup at Oswego, we can offer those resources to them in terms of, all of the ice that they want and need, and weight room and video and a coaching staff that, can take care of them. But no, I think, for us, it's just compete every day. That's one thing that, sometimes can be a little hard to teach, the fundamentals and details of the game. I think you typically can coach, but I think, what's inside of you and what motivates you every single day. That's what we're looking for. And guys is guys that are self-motivated and self-driven and, constantly pushing themselves to get better.
Yeah, because you can't coach heart and desire.
Right. No, and you can't win without it either. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Coach, I mean, you've had quite a career, both on the ice and off the ice, and you've got one more accolade now. You are a Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
2023 inductee into the Oswego Athletic Hall of Fame. How did that make you feel?
I'll be honest, it was a surprise. I think I was at home in the summer and I got an email, and I honestly thought it was like a spam thing or something. I know I'd probably get in trouble for saying this, but our school sends out so many emails, with different events or things that are happening on campus. I think at first I glanced at it and was going to delete it because it just said something like, a Hall of Fame, something. Yeah. It didn't.
Nigerian prince, $11 million. Yeah,
from coming to America.
It didn't seem like it just seemed like one of those generic spam emails. So, but then obviously opening it up and seeing that it was a shock factor, right? I guess you're never really prepared for that or thinking of it, but it was kind of cool because my family was down at the time from Canada, and got to kind of share that news with them and share that moment. And pretty special to be recognized. And you look at, not just the hockey players that are in there. Obviously, there's so many of great players that have gone in from our program, but then just the other athletes too, other athletes that were there during my time. I mean, Chad Burge was a basketball player that went in with me, I guess, in this class, and was a phenomenal player. And so just to kind of be surrounded by not just other great hockey players, but other great, Oswego athletes. So it was pretty cool to be recognized.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, Coach, this has been a great time. We appreciate you coming on to talk to us. You got the game tomorrow night against Cortland. That closes out the regular season. And then you head into the SUNYAC. And like I said, looking to get into the NCAAs as well. But your team's getting hot at the right time.
We hope so. We hope so. It'll be, like I said, every game from here on out is going to be a tough test. And we're excited for the challenge. And I do want to take time to thank you guys for all you do and promoting hockey in the central New York area. And, we're so fortunate to have such, so many quality programs from youth to college to pro. And I think we're lucky to have guys like yourself that promote it. So thank you.
We appreciate that. And thank you for taking the time to talk to us and to work with us, because it makes it easy to do. And we got friends like you. So.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right. Well, Coach, best of luck the rest of the season, and we will talk soon.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
All righty. Thanks, Coach. That was Coach John Whitelaw from the Oswego State Lakers. All right, folks, that's all the time we got to keep up on some Lakers news and, well, news all around Central New York. Hockey, that is. Check out CNYHockeyReport.com every day. All right, so I'm Scott Kinville. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week on the Central New York Hockey Report podcast.